Hello and welcome to Shots Fired, the show where if you fire a shot, you take a shot. Today we're going to be talking about Deepwater Horizon.
And for those of you who don't know how this works, for every criticism we make, we take a shot. 1 shot for a minor gripe and 2 shots for a major problem.
And at the end of the review, we'll assign a rating using our patented inebriometer. It's a 1 to 5 rating, 1 being the best, 5 being the worst.
Are you seeing this?
Mike, what is that? Is everything okay?
We gotta go right now!
So, I think it's fair to say that one of us wasn't exactly anticipating this film because one of us is not exactly keen on disaster films in the first place.
Not really.
So George, why do you hate disaster films?
I don't hate disaster films.
I hate them!
I just think that the big selling point with disaster films is it's about the spectacle, the sort of experience, watching shit blow up.
So much hate.
And I just think that's a great thing when it's done well. But I also, I like story, I like characters. And I just think with a lot of disaster films, you don't always get that. Generally speaking, I just find disaster films are just meh. They're not terrible, they're just kind of meh. I just don't care.
Well, I apologise in advance to my co-presenter's hateful outburst, but we don't all feel the same way that he does. So I'm very interested to know what you thought of this film, considering your prejudices.
I really enjoyed it. I thought Deepwater Horizon was this incredible thrill ride. The film sets up quite slowly. It sort of humanises the characters. There's a lot of sort of workplace banter, and it feels almost like a documentary, like something you'd watch on Discovery Channel. And it's fine. It's all going along, and then as these films do, halfway through the problems happen, and it's incredible. It's just there's explosions, there's fireballs. There's rooms being collapsed, people are thrown about. It was brilliant. It was just, even if the film had nothing else going for it, it had spectacle. It was brilliant.
Well, I thought this was basically Titanic, but for dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very well-crafted film. I have very little bad to say about it. In fact, this is probably my biggest criticism of it, is that it's just so well done. I have very little to say about it.
Well, yeah, that's fair. So we've spoken a lot about the action elements. There's probably not a lot more we can say about that other than it's just this incredible experience, very visceral. Like the scene, especially where the character's taking the glass out of his foot, and you see that sort of protruding bone.
Oh god, I don't know how this film got a 12 rating because it is gory.
It makes
as
you
fuck.
cringe. It makes you go, oh, like more so than a horror film, like a slasher film.
Because it's real.
It just hits you all the senses, doesn't it? Really. And for me, the thing that worked really well was spoilers. Was the final scene in which Matt Wahlberg gets back from the this terrible disaster, and sort of everything's all kind of blurry, and like the film's edited really weird as well, which sort of creates this sort of sense of confusion. And he's got this corporate guy handing him out, like leaflets or whatever, and he's just being minded by everyone, and he just wants to just be on his own, and it's all terrible. It's just a really shitty situation. He breaks down, and it's like really touching, and then his wife kind of runs in and sort of comes to his aid, and that for me was really moving. Throughout the film, it keeps cutting to Kate Hudson, and I don't know about you, but I felt that was quite annoying because it was like they're showing this great disaster, and they're showing the Coast Guard scrambling the helicopters, and then it keeps going to Kate Hudson. I'm thinking, no, get to the action, get to the shit blowing up. But it kind of really pays off at the end when you get that moment and they kind of embrace each other. I just thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you just said, especially with Kate Hudson, because that mechanic in these type of films, they do kind of annoy me because I like the action I like the perspective to be focused on these people affected by the disaster, because it makes it more isolated.
Definitely.
When you keep cutting back to people away from it, it sort of brings you out of it. But I do agree that it did work. It did work in the end, because you do get that emotional payoff. Mm-hmm. And what I also liked that you don't really see in many disaster films is the spectacle wasn't glamorized. It was gritty.
Not at all.
It was grim.
Yeah, these aren't superheroes. Yeah.
And especially in most disaster films, like you look at 2012 and Day After Tomorrow.
Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah, all these stupid disaster films, they're always running away from the action and they always escape it in some sort of really, really over the top manner that's completely unbelievable. In this, you can't escape it because you're on the rig. The only way to escape it is to jump into the water, which is also on fire. Yeah, which is on fire. Yeah. So it was intense. And for anyone who might have reservations that this might be some kind of sympathy piece for BP, it isn't. They really paint them as corporate arseholes. This is a very anti-corporate film.
I'm sorry. They did that well. They did paint BP out to be the villains, but I wonder if it went too far to the point where John Malkovich, who's brilliant, he's playing the head guy for BP based at this station. Like, they paint him out to be such a cartoon villain. He's all money, money, money. Time. We've got to get this project going. Who cares about safety? I can justify why these are going wrong. There's no problem here. And then he goes forward with it. And then towards the end, Kurt Russell has that sort of glance, that sort of gritty kind of, you son of a bitch. And it just makes him out to be such a villain that I think in a film that's so grounded and serious, maybe that was a little unnecessary.
Yeah, it's so cliched they even have a song about it. How does it go again? Money. Money.
Oh,
do you remember?
I do remember the characters singing it.
Yeah. I'll be honest, that didn't bother me.
Okay.
Well, I don't think it was that cartoony because these people are under pressure in real life to sort of move along, get the profit margins all down. And whatnot.
It was that, but it was also the way like the characters behaved afterwards. Like John Malkovich was still a bit of a dick afterwards, even after the things happening. There was certain like looks he gave that for me it was like, oh, we get it, this guy's an arsehole. So for me, that's a shot.
Cool.
Oh. So Alex, in this sort of near perfect film, you could say, did you have any other gripes?
I did, yeah. And that's because this film is really well done. So, and it's realistic, it's grounded. So when you have your typical movie scene,
movie moments.
Movie moments, yeah.
Yes.
It is more noticeable.
It takes you out of it.
And
definitely.
Especially there's one scene where the guy, he looks up at the American flag and everything's burning in the background, it's slow motion, it's playing dramatic music, things like that.
And I don't know if this is because it was like an American audience, but they definitely made a point of how they all sort of knelt down and they said they are Father, which I don't have a problem with in principle, but again, it's very sort of, God bless America. It's it's a movie moment. It's a bit of a cliche, and in a film that earlier I mentioned, it was almost like a fly on the wall documentary. It does take you out of it a little bit. So I agree. There's definitely movie moments there, which are probably unnecessary. Shot. One shot.
Shot. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Is that it? I've said pretty much all I have to say about this film. Would you like to give your final verdict?
Yeah, let's bring out the patented idiomatic. So I would give this film a 1 out of 5, which is the best score that we can award a film.
Yeah.
And I've absolutely no problem with giving it that score because it's a very well crafted film. It's exciting, it's riveting, well acted, emotional at the end. I have very little bad to say about it, but like I said, at the same time, I also have very little to say about it in general because it's so well done.
Yeah, I totally second what you say. 1 out of 5. Absolutely go see this film.
So George, now that you've been educated, shall we say, have you changed your opinion? Have you lost your prejudice against disaster films?
Well, this film was great, but that aside, you name me 5 other great disaster films, and I'll give you Titanic, which was like one we already mentioned.
Okay.
So 4 other great disaster films.
Well, there's The Impossible.
Yes. And